Hello. Okay. So I'm hopping on here today to do a little live video. Hello. I think I can wave to people. How are you? So I'm going live in Instagram over here, and then also in our Virtual Woodwind Academy Facebook group over here. It's called Woodwind Support Community. So if I'm looking off camera, that's why I've got two screens kind of set up here. Okay, yeah, so I think I'm gonna wait maybe another 30 seconds to see if anyone else joins, but I am gonna be posting these later as IGTVs that you can check out then. Yeah, so today I'm gonna talk about intonation in the winter, because when it gets really cold out and dry, it's very common to have intonation problems with your flute playing. Changes in weather really affect how we play the flute, how we sound. Yeah, so go ahead and give me a comment in the chat if you've had any intonation problems, or comment on this video. But yeah, I think we're gonna get started. So first off, when you're trying to play the flute in tune, there's a couple factors that can kind of affect that. So I'm going to talk about what I think is the quickest fix to poor intonation. So this is kind of actually an unusual thing, because most flute players, when they're playing out of tune, what they'll do is they'll push the head joint in or pull it out, which is good to do. That is obviously how we tune our flutes. But because the flute isn't actually inside our mouth, it's, on our face, underneath our mouth when we're playing, there's other factors that affect intonation as well that we don't normally think of. So, yeah, I'm just going to demonstrate with my head joint right now. But here's the big one. So, your embouchure hole. You only want to cover about 1/3 of the embouchure hole with your lips. So what you can do is, I'm actually going to use my webcam as a camera right now to kind of see, but when you're playing flute, you should see that much of the embouchure hole just open. So when you're playing flute, kind of look in a mirror, and if you don't see that much of the hole open, then your intonation is being affected in some way. Hello, nice to have you. So we're talking about tuning the flute. So you only want 1/3 of this embouchure hole covered by your lips. So if you notice that when you look in the mirror, it looks like this, that's a lot. That's 60% of the embouchure hole covered. So you're going to want to roll that out. Not necessarily by rolling out your entire head joint. That's something that I would check with a professional on if you have a teacher or somebody that you can ask. Because when we roll out just the head joint, sometimes it doesn't fix hand problems we're having. So yeah, you want to make sure that it's right here. You also don't want it here where it's not covered at all, because then, you're going to miss. The air is not going to go in the hole. So 1/3. Okay, and then one other thing is the air pressure. So if we blow really fast, notes get higher. And if we blow really slow, notes get lower. So having our air pressure be on point is important for intonation. And it's interesting because I find, even though I've been playing flute for 20 years at this point, I still have days, especially if I start playing in the morning or when I'm tired, that my air is just not fast enough. So things don't sound great, meaning sometimes I'm flat or can't figure out what's going on, or I'm cracking high notes and I can't figure out what's going on. So it's normal from, I'm just putting my flute together real quick. It's normal from day to day to have differences in your air. That's just how we work. You know, we're human beings and our bodies change in response to things. So if we blow really fast, just playing a D there, if I'm going to play that D with faster air, can you hear how it gets sharp? Yeah, and then if I blow it with slower air, I can even like slow my air down while I'm playing. Can you hear how the pitch drops? So here's my normal D. And I'm going to drop the pitch at the end of the note now by slowing down my air. So how fast or how slow your air is affects the intonation a lot. Hi everyone, it's good to have you. So I like to do kind of a quick fix for myself when I start playing in the morning, just to make sure my air is going how I want it to. So what you're going to do for this is you're going to take your hand, either hand is fine, it's like I'm waving. You're going to put it so that your middle finger is on your nose. You're going to back it away from your face about 7 or 8 inches. And then from here, you're going to blow into your hand as if you're playing the flute. Now we don't have like an air pressure gauge, so if you have something like that for some reason, like I'd be interested to hear if there's like a reading that we want for flute playing. But what I think of is, in my hand, I want like a moderate amount of pressure going right in the middle of my palm and kind of filling up my entire palm so I can feel the air all over it. It's like the amount of air you need to blow out like 8 birthday candles. So if your air can only blow out maybe 1 or 2 birthday candles, you probably need to increase your air. Yeah, so doing that quick fix is just to make sure that your air is nice and strong in your hand and you can estimate blowing out about 8 birthday candles. Then your air pressure is good and you've already warmed up your air. And you can start practicing and not worry about your intonation being affected by that. So I'm going to pause here and just open it up. If you guys have any questions about intonation, I will happily answer them right now. So go ahead and feel free to post either in the Woodwind Support Community Facebook group or in the chat right here on Instagram, and I will answer it. Okay, so one other thing that we can use to help with intonation is literally by using a tuner. Raise your hand if you have a tuner that you use. I found this, there's tons of free apps for metronomes and tuners, and these are 2 completely different things. The metronome is that thing that clicks, that keeps time, and the tuner is something that's going to tell you if you're flat or sharp. There are lots of free tuning apps on, the App Store or the internet. You can even go and just go into google.com and type in tuner or metronome and you'll get options there too. I know some of my students use Google for a metronome pretty exclusively. So using a tuner is really helpful. And obviously the usual way of tuning where we push in or push out is going to be most helpful. So for those of you who joined us a little later, at the beginning of the video, I'm just going to recap a little bit. I talked about the embouchure hole. So I'm just going to do that one more time just in case any of you, don't feel like going back and watching it because that's annoying. So you want to make sure that 1/3 of the embouchure hole is covered. No more or no less. So you can kind of look in the mirror and see, okay, when I'm playing flute, this is how much of the embouchure hole is there. Great. If you're finding that you can't see as much, you're too rolled in, that's going to make the pitch go way down. And if you're seeing like literally all of your hole and you're not covering any of it, then you're going to be playing too sharp. So that quick fix, 1/3 of the hole covered, will probably help your intonation the most. Yeah. Okay, so that's my little spiel about intonation. I hope you guys found it helpful. Feel free to post more comments later when I post this to IGTV if you still have intonation questions, because I'm just going to be around Instagram today answering questions that you guys have. But have a great day. Thank you guys so much for joining my live. I really appreciate it. And again, if you are more of a Facebook person, we have a group called Woodwind Support Community, and I am also doing my live in that group. It's a community of, people who play woodwind instruments that just kind of support each other, and we post lots of practice tips in there and stuff. So, yeah, I'll see you guys soon, and thank you guys so much for joining.